Hello and welcome to another episode of Hawaiian Shirt Projects. Today in episode number 4, we'll be working on the cross supports that the sheet metal is going to be resting on. Stick around.
So before we get into working on the roof today, we're going to start off by trying to sturdy up the walls a little bit better. I'm just going to use some of the scrap leftover pieces of 2x4s I had from cutting my studs to begin with. So I'm just going to take my scrap piece, going to walk up to the split section of the pallet wall, where it's a little bit flimsy, and I'm just going to attach the two. As you can see there, it wobbles a little bit, so I'm just going to make sure it sits on both pallets, the left and the right hand side, kind of centralized. We're going to screw it into the vertical 2x4 that's planted in the ground, holding the pallets up on both sections of the walls, and adding a little bit more screws into the pallet themselves for a little bit more support. And we're just going to continue this on down the line. This will help rigid up the wall a little bit. It's also going to suck those 2x4s in a line with each other, kind of give us more of an even surface to work with. One way you could go about trying to avoid this step would be to add more supports into the roof, say 2 on each pallet. That'd make it to where it wouldn't be as wobbly, but that also costs quite a bit more money. That's why I opted out and decided to go with this, use my scrap wood. So I'm just going to take a piece of this scrap metal sheet sheet metal that I'm going to be using for my roof and my sides, and show you what I got going on here. Now see, when I set it up against this, I got that 4 to 5 inch gap, so if I try to put it on there, it's just going to flop under, not hold secure. So to fix that, seems I don't have that extra 2x4 in there, I'm going to use a piece of plywood that I cut to about 12 inches. I'm going to butt it up to the end of my pallets there, and that will be what the sheet metal rests on. I'm going to put these throughout the roof, in the front end next to the pallets, somewhere around the midsection, and then at the top where the existing wall is for the shop. As you can see here, it's just going to line up like this, and then 2 pieces of sheet metal there side by side, we're just going to lock into place. Now when I originally started cutting this, I decided to go a little bit too short. I was only doing about 3 to 4 inches in width, and that made them awfully flimsy, so later on I ended up changing it to 11 to 12 inches, and that seemed to be fairly sturdy enough, at least enough to support a little bit of my body weight, as well as me moving around trying to get sheet metal positioned for a test run. So here I am, just butting it up against the end of the 2x4 there, because that's where I'm going to be having my door hung, so I want to make sure that's flush. And then I'm just going to zap it down with a couple of screws. So now in order for me to get prepped for my sheet metal to go on the roof, I'm going to have to cut down these vertical 2x4s. I'm just going to use the Sawzall, do it quick and dirty. Just cut it off somewhat flush with the pallet on top of my studs. We're going to call it good with that. Should do just fine. So here I'm just going to do the same thing I did up on the pallet side. I'm just going to slide up my 12-inch sections of plywood. I'm going to zap them down with the screw. Just continue all the way down that wall. So now I'm just going to walk on down the midsection, go and zap down that plywood, give the middle area of the sheet metal a little bit of extra support and something to bite onto as well. At this point in the video, I'd like to say thank you guys for making it this far. I really appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. If you think I'm doing a good job and you're enjoying the videos, go ahead and smash that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm, as well as lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you don't like the content, go and hit that dislike button. Same thing. Lets me know what I'm doing wrong. Go ahead and shoot me a message down in the comments. I'd really appreciate it if you have any advice as what to do next, or as to what I've done already. If you haven't seen the other episodes, feel free to go back and watch those. I got 1, 2, and 3 already up. And as always, stay classy and party on.